Welcome to Up Close, a roundtable discussion with Hollywood's up-and-coming brightest talent. This is the Actresses in LA edition, and I'm your moderator, Alice Taylor. Some amazing talent with me here today. So, to my left, Flora Gignac, Yuli Zorrilla, Sana Sepehri, Susan Macke Miller, Sebrina Purcell, and Arden Belle. All right, ladies, first question, and I have a nice little pile here.
Oh boy.
So just dive in when you're ready. Somebody has to go first. What made all of you get into acting? Who wants to go first?
Okay.
I'll go first. Well, since I grew up in New York City, like that's pretty much what's all around New York. But my mom was obsessed with trying to get me into modeling, and I was like, no, I don't. She's like, but you're tall and have long legs. I'm like, no, I want to wear like jeans, baggy ones. And so I was in middle school, and they were starting this like theater group, and I was just like, oh, that would kind of keep me out of trouble. So like that's kind of like how I got into it, and I loved it. And then in New York City, when you go to high school, you have to pick a major, and we have like a lot of specialized schools. And so I was just like, I think I'll go to Performing Arts High School. And that's pretty much kind of how I got introduced into studying acting and learning about it and, you know. Look, I'm sorry, okay? I'm just worried about you. You haven't been talking to me. You don't want to go anywhere or do anything. You've been having these dreams that keep you up at night. You don't want to talk to anyone about it. I mean, Ryan, if you need the help.
God damn it, eat the food!
Fell in
Now
love
you're in
with
LA.
it. Yeah, and then now I'm in LA. You know, I had like a whole journey. But the weird thing is, when I was a little girl, I would always tell my mom, "Oh, I'm gonna move to California," because for some reason in my mind I thought LA, like California, was just LA. You know. So I'm like,
That's what we all thought.
yeah, you always think that it's just like, and it's only Hollywood, you know. And so you move out here and you're like, what's this other area? Yeah, but I was just like, I'm gonna go out there. And then obviously as you get into the business, you realize, well, if I want to do film and I want to do television, you gotta come out to LA to really do it. And so I made that transition. And you know, I mean, I love New York, but can't beat the weather, man.
Right. So performing arts school or any other routes in?
I started in print. I think I was 12. And then I got bored and just started taking an acting class. And I did that on and off for a couple years until I really realized that acting was something that was possible as a profession.
Right.
And I had that realization, and then from then on, I just worked really hard.
Do you want to hear a samurai haiku? 17 beautiful syllables that say it all.
As long as it's not about love. Every guy volunteer recites one to me, hoping that I'll go out with them. What's yours?
And moved here.
I always lived here,
Oh,
which is really lucky. Yeah, I always felt so lucky.
She's a local.
That's easy. Yeah, but,
exist?
Right?
but no, but up until I was about 12, I had no idea that actors existed, that people on TV were actors. Even though I lived here, I just didn't have that awareness. I just thought people were magical and on the TV.
Right.
Yeah.
You could talk to them. How about you, Susan?
Oh my gosh, you just reminded me. I used to think when I listened to the radio station before, you know, there were other options, that if Fleetwood Mac was singing on the radio station, my local radio station, if I went to the radio station, they would be there. Like I used to think they were in the radio station singing.
Happened to her or anything, right?
We know exactly what's happened. She's bored. She wants attention. She'll come back when she runs out of money or when people stop talking about her.
I don't know. I think I've just always loved performing and being an animated storyteller. And from the time I was little, you know, you couldn't just sit at the table and tell a story. You had to get on top of the table and tell the story. And then after I got married, so I did theater in high school and college, and a little bit of modeling, a little bit of print, musicals, and then got married and got more involved in the music industry, and then started having babies like nonstop. And And then when my youngest son got in middle school, he wanted to do acting, so it drew me back. I took a break from it, not from performing, but just from the acting side of things, more music. And then I just thought, oh my gosh, I can't get away from this. It's just, every time I open the door, it's standing there, like going, pick me, pick me. And I just can't not do it. So I keep thinking, my type A brain loves to be behind the camera, loves to do admin stuff, but I don't want to. I want to be in front, helping to tell the story.
Great.
You kind of get depressed when you have to do like stuff behind the scenes. And I'm like, no, but I want to be that person that's in front of the camera.
Just kind of like that. Let me show you.
How about you, Flora?
I think mine is totally different. I think that I grew up not knowing that I could do anything in life. I thought like this was it. I was going to be stuck in this, environment my whole life. And then, but I fell in love with comedy at a really young age. I thought like you can be like so depressed and have the horrible things going on, but then like you'll like watch Mad TV and you're like laughing uncontrollably, and it just like changes your whole mood, and like it changes it affects you differently, and and I just thought it was amazing that you could change people's, thoughts and views and feelings just through like the TV. So, but I didn't think of anything of it, and then I did a couple films in Miami that my friend like made me do, like, oh, Flora, do it on camera, and I was like, eh. And then I really started liking it, and then I started writing comedy, and then whatever, I thought nothing of it. And then when my twin got into an accident, and it was just like a whole awakening. I was like, well, let's get the crap out of here and let's go, let's do this. So ever since, we've been like really active and writing, and
This is you with your twin. You're both here. So you moved to LA?
Yeah, we both moved to LA. We're actually born here, but we grew up in Florida and Miami.
And then came back.
And we came back together, and we're doing it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. With
Yuli.
me, hi. I started off as a dancer, so I did ballet for 6 years. And then secretly wanted to be a singer, so I was a pop star in my bedroom. With the brush? I had a ton of fans. No, you don't understand. I would belt Mariah Carey, it was my job. And then my mom put me in it was a side thing, theater school, after school or on the weekends. And that's where I fell in love with it.
John's not my real father.
Really?
Yeah. My mom was dating some guy, and they got really drunk one night, and he raped her. A couple weeks later, she found out she was pregnant. And soon after I was born, she met John.
And you never even met your real father?
John's my real father. He's the one who raised me.
And then it just became...
How old were you at this point?
9. So I was still, dancing was the primary. And then once I hit high school, I said, I don't want to dance anymore, and just the way they structure you, you have to look a certain way to be a dancer. Right. So I definitely did not fit that criteria. And I was like, you know what, I have much more fun acting and pretending to be someone completely different than I am, on stage twirling, which not, to discredit them, their discipline is incredible, but I just fell in love with more of characters and developing that and developing a story. And then I studied in New York. I'm from New York, so I was there. And then one day I was like, I should move. Let's move. I want my name in Hollywood, So I moved here to Los Angeles, and then just been.
How old were you when you moved?
23.
All right.
Yeah.
And Sana, how about you? Native? Moved here?
Actually from San Diego. I moved here, the first time a while ago. I won't say when. But anyways, no, I always knew I wanted to be an actress. This is like what I've been saying since I was like 3 or 4. I was like, yes, I want to be an actress. I want to be an actress. And I remember like videotaping like soap operas and being like, this is the craft. This is it. And
soap opera.
I used to watch them, and I like reenacted, and I was like, yes, I can be Brenda from like General Hospital, yes, and all this stuff. So I've always like wanted to do this. And I remember in college, I finally was like, okay, I'm gonna study theater. And like the first acting class I took, the guy was like, yeah, this is not for you. And I was like, no, but I'm still gonna pursue it. He's like, no, but this is just not for you. Like, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna still do it. And
This is part of our growth. The more we suffer, the more we grow.
no, this is not growth. This is hell.
Shirija, you have to have hope that things will get better.
There is no hope anymore. You can sit here and rot, but I won't. My family needs me. And he's like, she's not getting it. So, I mean, I just think it's like working on your craft and doing what you love. And,
screw him.
And yeah, and stop listening to people telling you what to do. Like, I was oblivious. I was like, yeah, I'm still gonna do it. So, I mean, it's
Tenacity,
just,
you're gonna need it, right?
Yeah,
You're gonna need
exactly. Do what you love.
it. Kind of brings me to the next question, actually, because this is, what has been the hardest thing in pursuing acting professionally here in LA? The hardest thing.
The nose.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Or no, my favorite is great job. We'll call you.
We'll call you. With a smile.
With a smile.
Yeah. And you're like, you're not gonna call me, huh?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I guess just staying positive and keeping up that positive energy and having it not transfer to your next audition or your next job, and always starting with a new, fresh slate.
Right, you have to just keep going, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be in the right place at the right time with the right, etc.
Yeah.
I mean, how many no's do you get? What's your average percentage? If you want to be an actress, how many no's do you have to put up with?
A
million, all the time, every day.
They're mostly no's.
Yes, right?
That's
So it comes back to this tenacity thing. Like, if you want to be an actress, how much do you have to tolerate, say, hearing no, right? So it's like
and especially like the fact that most people who you see on film or TV, they've been here since they were 5. They're all relationships that they've had, parents who are already actors or someone in the business. So like, you know, you have to deal with that. Like, I'm nobody to them, and you know, they've known that girl since, you know, her whole life. They're like, oh, I love her. We're gonna put her in. You know.
So building that name for yourself, and also like fitting into the mold that Hollywood has.
Right.
So if you don't fit in certain criteria, like, oh wait, she doesn't look Latin enough, or she's not Asian enough, or you know, we need that one black person, or you know, whatever the case is. Yeah. So that's also has been, I think, the most difficult for me, is to find my niche, to figure out how I can market myself and how I fit into the, you know, Hollywood perspective of how they see me and how they want to sell me.
Right.
So it's been difficult for me to find out where I fit.
So it's like you're saying that there's a network, you have to be part of the network, and then you have to know which kind of corner of the network is your speciality even, that kind of thing.
You know what, I always think that it is keeping a positive attitude, but even going into an audition, I just read something somewhere, and it wasn't Bryan Cranston, but someone like that, and he said, you know, you might look at my resume, might look me up on IMDb, and I have 12 things that I shot in the last 2 years, but you don't see, not Bryan Cranston, but this other person, you don't see the 435 no's that I got, that I booked. So I kind of think you're right for what you're right for, and if you get free and comfortable enough to go in and be exactly who you are, I still think it's a good experience, because they're going to have enjoyed you, even if you're not right for that. Casting directors are amazing. They file it away. And so then you move on to the next thing. But yeah, I think it's keeping a positive attitude and
and persevering. And just getting your face out there, right?
No, and having a really good therapist. You have to have, I mean, you know, and the reason why I say that, I mean, is because you are getting a lot of no's, and it's not like I'm saying no to my invention of the cup. You're saying no to me, you know, and you have to try
take
to,
it very personal.
you know, you have to try not to take it personal, but yet you are talking about me. And so, and then on top of that, you know, the longer that you're here, you're meeting so many different people, and then if you're seeing the success of all these people, as much as you want to be happy for them, and you do, if you're not seeing the success, it can really start to weigh on you, and get you into a bad headspace. So you have to have a really good therapist.
It's true.
Because it also brings you down to that desperation, you know, when you see that, it's like, oh my God, like me, like me, like me, like me, like me, like me, like me. When you do have then when you acquire the freedom to say, you know what, this is me, this is who I am, take me or leave me, then that's when, you know, you're in a good headspace and you can go in not letting anything phase you. But in that beginning stage,
those are the jobs you book. It's
always
when you're like,
I don't care about this.
I do that with Sarah a little bit, and then you book it like, really? They're like, I just love what you did. I'm like, great.
Great, yeah, okay, I didn't do
I
anything.
was just myself. I just read it for the first time in front of you. So,
The ones that you're like, I was studying this role. I want this.
You're like really attached to it.
No.
Never get it.
Yeah.
They don't want you then.
The worst.
No, and it's like the million times you can say like, would you like this coffee? Would you like this coffee? Like you spend like hours and hours, and then like it's like over in a minute, and you're like, oh, that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's also you have to realize that like, you know, an audition is also your opportunity to have fun. Like, you know,
It's good practice.
Yeah, it's good practice,
Yeah, it's
and
a
like,
little
you know, we
practice.
all probably have day jobs and other things going on that like, for me, it's like now I look at it as like an opportunity to have fun. I don't want to take it seriously anymore. I want to enjoy it. I want to like, you know, like, hey, I get to act for like 4 minutes, whatever. You know, that's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
With a little audience right there. Somebody mentioned representation agents, casting directors. We're going to talk about casting directors in a second. But you guys, what's your biggest obstacle and or success in securing representation here? It's so competitive. What have you done? Or what can you do to go, you know, get an agent, get representation?
There's like, you can, you know, get referrals from like people who have a good name in this industry, like whether it's like an acting coach or, you know, it's another actor or something like that. And it's just like, it's just so hard. It's just, you don't have a lot because you don't have representation, right? So you can't go out to the big agencies because you don't have anything on your resume. And then you get to like a boutique agency, but no one wants to see you because you have nothing on the door. So for them, they just need to see as soon as you walk in the door, how can I sell you?
Right.
Like you need to come in looking like whatever look that you're going to be selling. Don't come in as
part of it is just luck. You're going to be in there,
yeah,
they're looking
I think
for something.
Part of it is just like them knowing exactly where to put you and then, oh great, I know exactly where to put Flora. I'm going to do this. Boom, 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 boom. You know, and knowing what you are for them to make their job easier, and then sending packages and doing the whole thing. I think for me it was like a little bit easier because I'm a twin, and like my twin sister just did it, and then I just got it because my sister did it. Like that's how I started. So,
which
you know, and it gave me like, it was like an extra thing, you know. But I mean, it's just like sending, and like I sent out like 60 something packages and only got 5 responses.
Right.
You know, and 5 is like a good amount. You know,
you guys
you'd lucky
have
to get
similar,
2.
like.
I mean, I feel like, you know, with representation, the biggest problem I have is them misunderstanding me. Like, I've had managers that have been like, oh, you're going for the Hindu role and you need to speak Hindu. And I'm like, wait, I never told you I don't speak Hindu. I'm Persian, like, I'm Middle Eastern, like, I don't, you know, so I feel like I get, like, typecast, like, into, like, different, like, I guess, languages, and I'm like, I can't go to this audition. I don't speak Hindu, like, you know, so I just feel like a lot of the times it's like you really have to get to know your management or your talent agent and really explain who you are to them, because sometimes it is foreign to them, and like, you know, like who you are and what you represent. So I think that if you have a good agent or a manager that knows what you can do and understands what culture you can play and things like that, it really, really helps.
Right.
Also relationships.
Yeah,
you know,
relationship.
The relationship you have with a friend from acting class who's represented by a boutique agency or not, or make sure that you make friends with them, because I feel like half the time, at least for me, a lot of my representation I got through relationships.
So it's the network again, the introductions.
Through someone that I know someone that I was like, you know, can you slip them my headshot? Can you let them know that I speak Spanish and I can say hola, ¿cómo estás? You know, and that's just what worked for me.
Right.
Because I did the submissions and
yeah,
you'd hear nothing, you know, and that could be such a letdown. So just as long as what worked for me is being in the mix and trying to really build those relationships with someone who can possibly help me, or, you know, become really buddy with someone who knows someone else, worked.
But staying persistent too,
Right.
you know, just because you don't hear from them once, just keep trying. Then be like, okay, this Flora name has been coming up on my email for a while.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, for me, my situation is a little bit different. The representation that I do have, I didn't really get from like relationships, although I'm really big on relationships. I got it from like old school sending out, mailing and stalking people and
showing up at the office.
Yeah, like you.
I've done
it.
Hey.
One of I had representation. And I got this particular representation literally by stalking them. And I will never tell, name it. But when I say I stalked them, I mean I looked them up, and I was just, I'm gonna find out about their life, and so that when I did reach out to them, I'm just like, I know, this, and this, and they're like, oh my God, they know about my business, and I'm like, yeah,
you are gonna get booked as the crazy lady in all the shows.
So that works. You got real personal, I think.
I
did.
Like,
congratulations on
the baby. Okay. Their skin just felt so good,
Oh my God.
So it was, for me, that's what worked for me. Like, only because, other things just didn't pan out. So I feel like with representation, you kind of have to try and get so creative and try any and everything that you can. Because what works for one person,
it doesn't always
I mean, another way of saying this is you did deep research.
Oh, I did.
We're not saying go stalk folks,
I was
but
like
you
a
knew.
submarine of actor going in trying to get representation.
And you'd chosen the person that you wanted, right? So you had a target in mind, a really specific target in mind, which means you can,
exactly, which is good too, because then you're kind of like, okay, I see where they are, what tier they're in,
where they can put you,
and where they can, put me. But kind of like what you were saying, it's also having like a really open dialogue with your representation in regards to what you can do and how they see you. You know, it's in being in agreement.
See, but I feel like that's also hard because even though you're in agreement or you say to yourself or your agent, this is where I want to go. They'll send you to something that you completely don't want to do. And you have to do it because you have nothing.
It goes back to just getting in front of the casting room. They might see you for something else.
And just practicing
and
being
I
on
didn't
set.
have the typical, because I feel like I'm late to the dance. Not late to the dance. I just feel like I've been at the dance. I've just been talking to the guidance counselor in the corner or something. I don't know. But I actually had a friend here who is a casting director who referred me to a commercial agent when I moved out here a couple years ago. And I ended up interviewing with them and another boutique agency that had seen my info that I uploaded onto Frontier Casting Network or something.
Casting.
And I think sometimes agents are surfing that to look for new faces or talent. So at the same time I interviewed with them and they both wanted to work with me commercially, and I went with my friend to the referral. And I approached the boutique agent for theatrical work, and they said, well, we have several people like you right now, so we're gonna, but contact us again in 6 months or so. So fast forward 8 months, and I was working on a student film for Chapman University, and I had shot a major film that was coming out in the summer, and it was spring, and the trailer had just come out, and I was in the trailer, and then I was audited. I was audited and placed into an advanced class at one of the studios here, well known. And so I thought, okay, there's a few things I can kind of tick off. And I went back to that theatrical agent, never sent out packets or anything, small boutique agent, and they said, please come and see us. Oh my gosh, we'd love to work with you. So last fall I started working with them, and my first audition with them was for a TV show with a woman with an Australian accent. I never said I had an Australian accent. I listened to every Australian thing on YouTube, and I walked in and I knew I probably wouldn't book that, but I thought, screw it, I'm going to get in front of this casting director that cast on this TV show, and maybe down the road,
What's they always say? Don't book the job, book the room.
Book the room.
Right.
So you got to go in and book the room.
And don't care.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, for me, about representation, the biggest obstacle has been not finding one, but finding one who will pick up the phone and fight for me.
Right.
And I was lucky enough to have been with my manager, my current manager, from the start. So he's been with me through everything, and we have a great relationship. So he helped me find an agent that fit me, and I finally found one that I love about a year ago.
Congrats.
Yeah, so, yeah, but I've been with a lot of agents, and all of them have been great, but it's just finding that fit that will be with you.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So casting directors, somebody mentioned casting directors. What are your strategies, you guys, for building relationships with casting directors? And what do you think of workshops?
I think that their workshops can be crap, and I think at the same time they can be extremely beneficial. You'll know right away when you walk into a workshop if that casting director is just here for the $50 a person, or if they're here to actually you know, do something. And I've had both experiences. I've had some, and you know, right away, and they're like, we don't need your headshot. I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing here. Okay, cool. You know, and then there's others that and I've had quite some, success from doing workshops, and and especially the workshops that aren't just the one day, that are you know, the consecutive weekly ones, because you establish a relationship. And you know, I have 2 casting directors who I've established relationships from workshops, as they've called me in as soon as I performed in front of them for the workshop. And they send me out all the time, and I did that by myself. And yes, sometimes they send me out for stuff that I would never go to, but the fact that they're just thinking about me and have me on their file is so great, you know. And I did that without representation, without you know, no one helping me.
Because this is something you can just turn up to.
This is something that you can do. This is something for new actors who can't get repped or stuff But yes, sometimes it's crap. But also when you're doing workshops, don't just do the shows that you like, you know, do shows that you know that you can be in, you know, you know, if your casting type is CW, then go to those casting directors. You know, what are they casting now? Do they also do small indie films? Because that can help you too. You know, I feel a lot of people just do casting directors are just well-known casting directors, but there's nothing for you. You know, so why are you wasting your money and their time? They can't put you anywhere. So it's just being smart and who you pick, and then also, you know, being likable.
You guys have done workshops too?
Oh yeah,
Everybody does it?
a ton of workshops, and I personally don't like them. I prefer not to do them. I do them because my manager says you gotta go workshop, and I get it because again, it's building that whole relationship thing. But I don't like them. I'm in a way very old school. I don't like the idea of me paying, you know, to have someone see me. I rather do a play. You know, I come from New York. I rather do a play. I rather do a showcase. I rather you come to that than for you to come and probably you probably have lined up 1,000 other workshops or 1,000 more, and I'm just one of them, and you're just coming by to show face. You know, not to just credit, but that's just my feeling. And
well, not least, it means you need cash to break into the industry to pay for all the workshops,
which is
right?
crazy because a lot of them range anywhere from $35 to $115. Yeah, $300,
and they don't care most of the time.
And you're constantly, so it's if one, casting director is 65, then you want to see another one, and so then you have to limit yourself. You're okay, I can only see 2 this month because that's what budget allows. So I've now acquired this new way of approaching it. I call them and say, hey, are you taking submissions? And if you are, where can I send that to? And if they say yes.
Does it work?
Yeah, sometimes it does. And they'll say, we're not taking any right now. Or they'll say, hey, you can mail it here. And if they say you can mail it, I show up.
You drop it off.
I drop it off, and before I used to do the manila folder and just send it off and put a stamp on it and whatever. Nope, I show up, no folder. They say post-it note. I say, here you go.
But Sebrina shows up with a baby gift for the person that has already had the baby.
I do.
Sabrina shows up with the wipes and everything.
Yeah, just with the exact size of the baby because I held it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So funny.
So that's what I've been recently doing, just because I really do need to save the money.
It's
and if there's a casting director that I feel that it will give me a shot, and like Flora said, that I'm good for the show and I know that I can possibly build a great relationship with them, then yes, I will totally do that and I will be there and workshop. But if not, no.
So it's about being tactical.
Yeah.
You have to be really, really strategic when it comes to doing workshops, because you can end up spending a lot of money and don't see any results, and that's devastating, and now you're back at your therapist. What
and with your third day job.
Yeah, right. So like, I know for me, I don't hate them. I get it. I look at it for what it is, you know. I know that, you know, they tell you it's not for a job, blah, 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 and it's not supposed to be, but we know what it is.
Right.
You're going in there because I really want you to call me in, which would be a job.
Which would translate.
Right, when you know, you just want to change the verbiage, that's up to you. So for me, I've had some success doing workshops, but I try to go in doing something that I know works for me. So for me, if I'm gonna go to a workshop, I don't want to do it in a classroom setting. I want to do one-on-one. I want to make sure that it's just me, the reader, and the casting director, and we're having our time. Because that's less pressure on me to have to be in front of all the other actors that's sitting in there. I also like to do ones that are prepared. I've worked on the material, so I know I'm coming in there fabulous. You know, I don't want to go into the ones that are cold reads. Can I do a cold read? Yeah, but then that's not showing a good representation of really what I can do. Because 9 times out of 10, if you wanted me to come for an audition, you're at least going to send me the sides a night before. So you can see something. But giving me like 15 minutes, that's not really, you know, putting my best foot forward. So I don't really like going to those type of workshops. And if I see that a studio or the casting director is doing those, then I'm not going to waste my money, because like you said, it's like $65. Some of them, you know, are are like really, you know, and you know, based on the casting director. If it's a hot casting director, then it's $70. If it's you know, not a hot casting director, it's like $30. You know, so it all depends. But I have to be super strategic. The casting director workshops, and since we're talking about workshops, I'm like, okay, I'll do those. The agent manager ones, I'm like completely against.
I've never done.
Those are the ones that I'm just like, no, I just refuse to do that.
Why? What's the difference?
I just feel like for the agent and manager ones, if I send you my stuff and I fit your roster, call me in. Let's have a meeting in regards to that, and do it that way versus the casting director way. I don't know. In my mind and my psyche, it just makes sense, and it also could be because I've had success with the casting director ones, and I, you know, hadn't had success when I've done the agent manager ones, and the agent manager ones sometimes really feel like it's about the money.
Right.
Like it comes across like you know, I'm just here because they paid me. And
like they should be looking for you, you know? Type thing.
You know, with me though, my first 3 commercial agents came from a workshop. That was how I got my commercial agents. So I got more success doing those workshops than I am doing casting director workshops. Yeah, because for me...
It's not interesting, because that's such a different experience. I mean,
I've never been to any of the workshops. I just heard Sebrina talk about them. And I'm sure that I bet it's just an individual experience for each person. Yeah. But with my friends that are casting directors, I put the friendship first, because they're so good at what they do. I know if there was ever anything that came across their desk that I would fit, I would be appropriate for, age-wise and experience-wise, I feel like I would be given a shot, you know, especially now because I have an agent, you know, in town. So I just keep that more organic. I don't know how else to say it. It's just, we'll go on hikes, you know, I'll meet up with another friend, we'll have dinner. Yeah. We work in the same industry, but it's just like any other relationship. I want to know, like, what do we do when we get off work?
Right.
Let's go. Let's do something else.
So it changes as your network builds. And there's always a bit of the conversation that's like, oh, I did this. You know, what have you been doing? But it's not okay, I want to be your friend. So what are you doing? What are you casting next?
Yeah.
It's never anything like that. It's just
Right.
let it roll.
And I also
what
feel
it's going
like
to be is what it's going to be.
if you ever try to do that, it never really works to your benefit.
No.
It just never does.
It's
You
like
know,
the
'cause
person in school who
But,
was
like,
always
for
trying to be
anything,
best
yeah.
friends with you, and you're like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Workshops have been really valuable to me, actually. I remember my first year of really working hard at acting. I happened to win this raffle at an acting school, and I got unlimited workshops with casting directors.
Oh, well, that's
So-
nice.
I know.
Amazing.
And then, okay, so I was
What's
doing
that?
workshops like 5 times a week. And that's how I got my first TV credit, just from being there
Yeah.
constantly and hitting one that happened to fit, you know what I mean? And so it was kind of a numbers game thing to me, and it just
Yeah,
happened
it's a
to
numbers
work
I think
out.
that's true.
And also it was, I feel like the kids casting directors, if you're a kid, I feel like those are the really valuable ones, because I think they just are. I mean, casting directors for the Disney, the Nickelodeon, the ABC family, I feel like they're the ones who really get in there and get to know the kids, and I think those ones have been the most valuable to me.
Cool. So, a number of you have mentioned the look, and talking about casting directors looking for a certain type of person at the right time or whatever. And you mentioned diversity. Do you think Hollywood is diverse enough? Do you think there are kind of stereotypes pertaining to you? Like, how does that work?
And let's just call out the hashtag for the Academy Awards this year.
Yeah. yeah.
Other than the
topical
Academy
right now.
Awards, I think that it's slowly developing
It's getting
into
better?
diverse, for sure. I mean, you can notice the difference. I mean, it's not there yet. I mean, my twin, she's on a wheelchair, and for her, like, she won't even be seen for regular roles unless it's somebody with a mental disease or physical disease or
Right.
something.
She can't just be an ordinary person.
She
in a
can't
wheelchair.
because she's mentally 100%.
Right.
Here, she just can't walk, so it's why can't she audition for any other role that you can? Obviously, she's not going to audition for an action film. I'm not being ridiculous, but but it's getting there. I think slowly seeing less blonde girls on the TV.
It's such a we're in a time where for television you definitely see a lot of diversity on TV. I will not say that I've seen a lot of diversity in regards to film, but for TV I've seen it. But
there's also a stereotype within the diversity.
That's what I'm saying. There's a stereotype there, and this is where you have to really try to remove yourself, and it's really hard to do. It's really hard to remove yourself because you see this stereotype. You're like, okay, we're looking for this. We're like, okay, we want to represent this particular culture on the TV show, but then that particular culture is the stereotype of that culture, and then you're like, really,
Okay, but you see the stereotype and you think, do I go for it and become that stereotype? Do I go for it and change it from the inside, or do I try not to get stereotyped? What's the tactic? Do you want to be known
inside yourself? At least for me, I always feel like that's the personal fight. But as an actor in the stage that I'm at in my career, I'm kind of like, well, I'm just gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna try to get as much work as possible until I can, make the changes. But it doesn't feel good. As a woman of the complexion that I look. One of the things that has been really devastating to me is that you will hear things about diversity, and you'll see breakdowns come through, but it will say ethnically ambiguous. They'll have every single ethnicity except for African American, and it's really, really devastating. And then the time you do see African American, that's when you see the stereotype. Right. Unless you've made a name for yourself, thank God for the Kerry Washingtons, the Viola Davises, and all of those people. But they already come with heavyweight, so of course they're gonna get those big roles. But other than that, like when you're seeing those breakdowns and it's like, okay, well, yeah, I see that you're trying to do a lot of diversity. I don't fit within this diversity realm that you're talking about, but so that, and then it's hard not to take that personally.
Right.
Yeah,
You know, you hear like, well, you can't take that personal. I know, but that doesn't mean that it's not hard.
Right.
It's still hard.
Although, I mean, I think that there's sometimes you get like this stereotype of what you should be, like Middle Eastern submissive woman. Let me just tell you one thing. I can play this role in my sleep. Like, that's how much I play it. Like, I've been beaten, I've been slapped, I've been everything. But I also feel like, in some ways, by showing that, there's some films that are kind of breaking that mold in some ways. You know, and I try to look at it positively, like, oh, maybe we're trying to break the mold by showing how ridiculous this is. You know what I mean? So I don't mind going that route for now. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to be like, you know, Middle Eastern, like, bomber wife forever. But, like, you know, if it happens for now, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And, like, hopefully you just keep on seeing more diversity in things, and we just hope that the people that are producers and directors become more women, become more like ethnic people, you know, like just continue to be more diverse. Like if you look at like, you know, crew members, like that needs to diversify as well. So.
Yeah, no, that's another huge thing, because you would, oh my God, you would never imagine how many times I pick up a script and then you're reading the sides and then you're like, man, I wish I could play this guy's role.
Oh my God, the
like,
guy
he has all the good stuff, you know?
Yeah,
His stuff is all like really good and it's like a real character and everything like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're supposed to build our characters and all of that. But in regards to like the dialogue, like they have like the real meat, and then our stuff sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes they're kind of like,
most of the time.
So having like good writers that can write for women. Oh my God,
this has been such a good year for women in film.
It has been such
Oh
a good year.
yeah.
Step one, you know,
Yeah.
and we got to move on to the rest. But.
Yeah, it's so weird because you'll hear like, well, there's not a lot of female writers. I'm like, that's funny because I know a lot.
It's funny because I think that we all
I know,
write
like,
as a...
You know, I know some. Why don't you give her a job?
And the thing too is, I know for me, it's always a feisty Latina, right? So then it's like. It's the feisty, sexy Latina.
You have that thing about you.
You need to be in the Natalie Cole story. Seriously, they're going to do something.
That's what I'm going to go do.
Right,
I'm going to
so
go do the Natalie Cole biopic, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I would go see that.
So I think that's been the hardest for me. And then there's a certain stereotype with what they want a Latina to look like, you know, versus if she's a lighter hue most of the time. You know, they want like a real washed Mexican woman or a Puerto Rican woman. And sometimes I don't think Hollywood thinks that Latins come in all different shapes and sizes, and we're brown, yellow, black, white, blue eyes, brown eyes, black hair, you know. We could even look African American. In my acting class, literally yesterday, this gentleman, I want to say he's probably like in his 30s, and he's a beautiful black chocolate man. Like you would look at him and you would think, oh wow, you know, here's a really good looking African American man. Spain. From Spain.
I'm from Spain.
And he speaks the most beautiful, you know, we call it Castellano, it's Spanish. And it's
the fancy stuff.
Yes.
Speaks like that, yeah.
And it's, oh my God, I felt so delighted with him, and he's just telling me how he wants to break the mold and how, you know, they don't look at him and he's having a hard time because they don't look at him as being, you know, Latin or Spaniard, and he has an accent, you know, so I would want them to not look at us and just put us in this, either they're Mexican this way, because you're either two types of Mexican. Either you're playing, you know, the village Mexican or the European Mexican, you know, or you know, you're Jennifer Lopez,
or
Puerto
you're in the
Rican.
cartel.
Yeah, or you're part of a Colombian cartel and you're super curvaceous. And no, we're not all like that. We come in all different phases, and I would love to find my way in that. But again, it's playing those, you know, roles that they expect you to play in the beginning, and then you're able to play later.
You get the work and then you do the
And then
thing
you
that
do
helps
your
change
thing.
the.
You can find enjoyable things within those roles.
Absolutely,
Like, I get to get killed by candle. Like, last film, I think it was like candle holder, and I was like, yes, totally. It was like, this is something different.
It's what's so interesting. As a woman I'm Latin and African American, I've come to I'm in a good place that if you just want me to play the African American woman, then I'm fine with that. And one of the things that helped me feel really good about that is looking at Zoe Saldana's like her journey, and I'm like, man, she made it just the same way, we're the same complexion, in similar in certain ways, and I'm like, she's got her career doing that. And she doesn't have all the stuff being like, oh, well, are they going to see me as being Latin too? That didn't stop her at the beginning of her career. So I'm like, you see me how you see me? Fine, just give me the job.
Is there a role you guys won't do?
I won't do the skank, the dumb, that one. Will not do that one.
Mainly depends on the projects.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't turn down a role for a dumb person if it was HBO, you know what I mean?
Right.
right.
But yeah, I think it depends on the project and what they're representing within the role and the whole outer point of it, as long as it's for a good purpose and not just frivolous stupidity.
Like Sharknado or something. That's my agent sent me out on one of those movies, like the mob or the thing with the muck, and I was like, no. That was the only time I've ever told her, I will not go out for that one.
Right.
Yeah. I draw the line at porn.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just like.
Yeah. I mean, unless it's Game of Thrones, I'm just.
Nudity's fine, if it's like that. Not if it's like, oh my god. No.
Anything that's going to, that's going to make. If it's not helping a story, and if it's not really trying to drive a good point,
right.
I won't do that.
No, I don't need to do that.
I won't do anything.
Does
that's
it come up
offensive.
often, or not really?
I mean,
every now and then.
I think with my my team knows that I'm not gonna do that, and I don't even have that look really. So don't even waste your time. I think it probably would be different if I was super tall, big boob. That might happen a lot, you know. And that must is another struggle they have to go through. Same thing of you or people in wheelchairs or that's a whole other thing too. But
Hooters lady number one.
Right.
Yeah.
That wasn't really an issue.
Guys, we're nearly out of time. Last question.
Okay.
You've all got 10 seconds, 10 words each or so. Where do you expect your career to be in the next 10 years? And what would be your dream role?
SNL for me.
That's
good. We all know that. I mean, that's it.
Major movie star film. I would love to do film.
Yeah.
Predominantly, and be able to make my own film.
Dream role, character.
Oh, I want to be
the feisty Latina.
I have two. Either the suffering, going through so much emotionally that I can't take it, or the super, super badass, I can kick someone's butt and just, jump out of this building and survive.
So Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
On the movies.
Right. Yeah. Just like that.
I love Jessica Jones. I think there's a couple of things also. We all have dreams. I kind of just want to Will Ferrell it for a while and just do a lot of fun movies and enjoy. But I also want to definitely, this is one of the reasons why I did acting is I want to show situations and people that not necessarily are represented. I think that's really key, and that's where my passion lies, and that's part of my goal.
New stories.
Yeah.
Right. Change how people view things.
Susan?
Wow, so I don't have that much time left, so I just
oh please, you're gonna be here long.
No, I just want to stay around and I love film, and I have, definite actors, directors I'd love to work with, and I always wanted to be a Bond girl, so maybe someday they'll do Bond great aunt girl, or I don't know, I just think that'd be so fun to be a Bond girl, but sometimes they bring them back as retired agents or something. I don't know. yeah, I just want to keep plugging away. I'm loving it and see what happens each day.
Sabrina?
I know for me, I would love to do film. I love like indie films and, you know, telling like the strong woman story, you know, because that's my type. But if, you know, right? Crazy. But my dream role would be a series regular, and it's actually, you know, that new show with Jennifer Lopez
And Ray Liotta.
yeah.
Shades of Blue.
Shades of Blue. That is my dream role. Sorry, J Lo.
So let's get rid of J Lo.
And it, you know, it shoots in New York. I'm like,
And
yeah,
J Lo doesn't age. So
I just want to say that it shoots in New York.
It shoots in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, like that role is my dream role. Like I would love to play that role or something like that. Just or like, you know, kill her off and like I took her place. You know, like that would be it for me.
Look out, J-Lo.
she doesn't age, so she's gonna be around for a good time.
Yeah.
Vampire.
For me, I want to be on A&E and CW. I don't want to name my dream show because I feel like that would jinx it.
Damn it.
But I'm always playing
No,
the
you're
mean
good.
girl or the bitch or the girl who bullies someone because I'm still in that high school age range. So for a change, I would like to play someone who is very kind.
And you
Disney.
are. You seem
You are. You know,
so nice.
you're very calm.
Thank you.
You're very.
It's like beyond her years.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you, you guys. That's it. We're out of time.
Thank you
Well
so
done.
much.
Thank you.